All right, Sarah, we are going to hear from Sarah Snyder, our conference treasurer, and Steve Miller. Here, okay, please.
Hello. This is always the most fun of all, isn't it? You look forward to the finance and the budget and the presentation today. So thank you for your enthusiasm. There is a lot of information that I could share with you, and it's always interesting trying to put it together. I will get started with the first page. But I wanted to tell you that the information is item number 108, action item 108. It starts on page 20 of your information, goes to page 36. I tried to pull out what I thought was some of the most interesting information or challenges or opportunities that we had during 23, 24, and 25. So the topics that I'm going to talk about today are preliminary results for 2023. I'm excited to tell you that we are caught up on audits. We just finished the 2023 audit. So we will be getting that report out. I have been what's been keeping Kevin from getting conference journals out and getting caught up with audits, but my challenge for this year is that I'll have the audit done before he has the conference journal ready to go. So for the first time in a while. Next slide. Okay, I want to talk about some financial results, but first, important information to share. This is Ernie. You guys got to see Ernie last year. He was just a month old at annual conference, so if you just keep coming back every year, you'll get to see him grow. This is my one and only grandson. He is the apple of my eye, and he just had a first birthday, which of course he got some gifts, but his favorite was the box that it came in. Yes. And I'm not that talented, but if you are a knitter, that is the other grandma knitted him that pair of overalls there. It's very cute. All right, next. Okay, now apportionments. So nearly 240 churches of our 400 churches paid apportionments in full, and I wanted to just say thank you very, very much. Lisa Adler and I have letters for you. If you have not gotten it when you registered, you can stop and pick up your 2023 tag to put on your board. For those churches that your list has gotten too long, it's gone all the way to the floor and you need another plaque, let us know. We brought a few of those along. So we can start that. Next. All right, 2023 is preliminary right now because I had to have this to Kevin a month ago, but we budgeted for gross apportionments of 7.8 million, net apportionments of 6.3, and we actually came in at 6.0. So you will see that that is under budget, but we also kept our expenses under budget and we also had some additional income. So although you don't like to see big red letters with negative 328, it gets more positive as we go on. Next. UMCOR is extremely impressed about what our conference does in additional giving. And in 2023, local churches gave, on top of your apportionments, over $1.1 million that went on to serve within Wisconsin, nationally and internationally. So thank you very much for all that your churches do. UMCOR is one of the biggest one that always receives. If there is an emergency somewhere in the world, Wisconsin seems to respond, and you can see what we did with some of those. We also got some additional revenue this year. We have over 71 accounts at the foundation, about $16.7 million at the last count, and from that we can pull some of those funds every year and use them as they were intended. And during 2023, we had about $462,000 come over. We also got a $175,000 donation from the East Wisconsin Pension Trust, which has funds at the foundation. We also had money come in from program fees, other grants that committees, boards, cabinet applied for, and then donations from individuals as well. Next. This one may be hard to see, but I want to compare the 5 major categories that we often describe how we divide our money, what was budget, what was preliminary actual, and then where we did over or under budget. And you'll see we came in under budget on expenses by close to $200,000. So that's where a lot of that under budget in apportionments came in. We were able to adjust throughout the year. We also had interest income higher than expected because of the disaffiliation funds that we were holding on to for just a little while last year. Next. Some of the positive results that I see, and it's interesting as I thought about what we do at the annual conference, is come and report on all of our committees and our churches and what we're doing. And there are so many ways of how you could describe what happened in 2023. Was it a good year, a bad year? How was it? Was it new members? Was it new baptisms? Was it confirmations? Was it the number of scholarships or grants that were given out? And the area that I can report on is how we did financially and within our programs. So we did have a consistent number of churches that reached that 100% paid. And again, I thank you for that. We were able to pay our global apportionment to GCFA at 100%. We were able to finish the disaffiliation process, a big part to our disaffiliation coordinator there in the back, Lisa Wink. We kind of say she was the wizard behind the screen when you wrote to her with questions, but all of the legal, accounting, financial transfers that had to happen all happened by December 31st. The trustees have been extremely busy with buildings, and in the report that Jane Doyster, who's chair of the trustees, did, it's on page 8 of your board of reports. She goes through all of the properties that the conference trustees are responsible for. And in addition to the conference center, there's also Bashford, which closed in June of 23, the Crossings, which is down on campus at UW, the Episcopal residence, the Agape property that they are primarily taking care of, but it's still owned by the conference, Milwaukee Zao in Milwaukee, the old Kenwood, Urban Poima, which is also known as the old Aldersgate, and then there's a Summerfield and 2 camps. So Jane has had her fill this year of signing a lot of legal documents, so I appreciate her. We've been busy with that. We also started the Ministry Enrichment Grant this year. We used up all of the GROAT grants. I reported on those last year, but we now have $350,000 in a Ministry Enrichment Grant program that all churches are eligible to apply for, 50% match, and you need the approval of your DS. We also, you'll see a picture on, we did a little bit of updating at the conference center and added on some more additional renters. Now, a few things that happened in 2024. So, one of the questions that I get most likely when I answer the phone and ask, can I help you, is a question about Church Mutual. Do we have to use Church Mutual? And that's going to be one of our challenges this year, but I'm going to let Jane talk a little bit about that. Salaries and benefits, we're going to be working with Northern Illinois. How can we share staff? What can we do to be more efficient in our processes? And we know that as part of the Revive program, we want to help churches look at their buildings. Next. We did make our contribution for the Boy Scout settlement. Currently, those funds are all being held by GCFA pending an appeal in the process, but we have met our $30 million obligation. The total $30 million, our part was $208,000. Next. On the left, you'll see, this is what I reported on last summer, that in the fall of 2022, someone called me and said, the building is falling down. And it was not actually a whole building, it was just the siding, which was a little bit noisier for the people in the foundation and on the second floor. But we were able to get that finally finished. It took about a year, but with Parks' help, we got our cross in flame refurbished, and it is hung back up, and it's all ready to go again. So if you stop by the building, we decided to paint the whole outside of the building, and it's been renovated and looks welcoming and has several more tenants in it. Now, 2025. So the budget process, I always think that I'm going to start the budget process earlier, and maybe we'll try it again, but I always hesitate because we have so many unknowns. And 2025 is no change from that. We're not sure who our bishop will be. We're kind of unsure about how the sharing of bishop will go. We're not sure what the impacts. At the time we were doing the 2025 budget, we did not know what would happen at General Conference, so we had to make some assumptions. But we started with our preliminary 23 results. We took a look at some assumptions we might be able to make with the cabinet and with CFNA. We talked about the effects of disaffiliation, what we thought that might do to the budget, any changes we thought GCFA might be coming up with, and came up with some assumptions to use on staffing. We went to the joint board to tell us what do you think is going to happen with health insurance, pension, CPP, talk to personnel about any changes in the staffing budget, and asked the committees if they were planning on any changes in their expenses. Came back to CFNA taking a look at that, Cabinet working through their budget, and producing a budget that we are bringing to you here today. Next. Okay, one of the big questions we always take a look at is how much should we apportion out to our local churches? What is the gross amount and what is the net amount? So the gross amount is the number that I take in August, and Lisa and I sit at my desk and go through this magical Excel spreadsheet to allocate it out to all the churches based upon what you submitted in your statistical reports. We hope, as Don said, that he caught, I caught, you caught any of the errors that you might have had in there. So that when we calculate out your apportionment, you don't come back later in September and say, you had an error in my statistical information. So the better we can get that statistical information, the more likely we are to get an accurate apportionment. The numbers you submitted for 2023 will be what we use to calculate your 2025 apportionment. And we're estimating to receive 83% in 2025. We did split half of the disaffiliation money that we got for going forward a year. We used half of it in 2023 and half of it in 2024. So we will have half of that money to help us in 2024, but in 25 we need to make sure our budget has adjusted for the fact that we no longer have that apportionment income. Next. I said we lowered the overall apportionments. We set the amount we expected to receive at 83%. We went through every possible account we could use foundation assets as they were intended. That's $674,000. And this year we were left with a change or a shortage of about $130,000. We went to the joint board and asked, because of the significant earnings that have been in the WestPath earnings, could we lower the amount that comes out of apportionment for retiree health insurance and instead use those earnings at WestPath? And they granted that as a one-time line item in the budget, but it won't be repeated. So next year's budget will have to work within our apportionment. But we did, because of the additional renters, have additional rental income, more than doubled in the budget for next year. We also made some assumptions on salaries. We're going to have 4 DSs instead of 5 DSs. We looked at staffing, will stay predominantly the same. Medical insurance is actually a 5.9% increase there. The general church was the biggest help to our budget due to all of the conferences losing churches to disaffiliated. They have adjusted their budget, and it actually decreased our budget to the general church by $346,000. Next. And just because Don and I both like pies, I needed to put that in there just to show you. The split between the 5 areas are approximately the same way that they were before. What we pay to the general conference is still about 25% of our budget, and 75% of the apportionment stay here within Wisconsin for the programs that we serve. Next. I would sincerely like to thank all the members of the CFNA committee who are here. If you could stand.
Would you stand so we can recognize you?
Steve
Give
Miller.
Thanks, yes.
Is at table 70 somewhere. They are a terrific group of people who meet every month for about an hour and a half via Zoom and give advice and support and take a look at these financial statements, and thank you for your help during the year. This is our finance staff, and I am grateful for the teamwork that we have. So you'll see Jean is on there. Jean will be retiring June 30th, and she has been truly a godsend in the 5 years that I have been the treasurer. There are many times that I will get a phone call and I just have to stop and say, I think Jean can take this one, and she always does. So thank you. And you'll see underneath Jean's picture is Cheryl Weaver, who will be our new CBO, and they're both over there. So thank you both. But Jean, thank you. I didn't pause enough when the crowd wanted to give you an applause, but we'll wait and recognize you again. And now I just want to say that ends the reading of the budget. In case you want to hear it again, just let me know. The PowerPoint will be up on the finance website along with the report that Don gave. And next up, I'm going to ask Jane Doister, who is chair of the trustees, to come up. Mm-hmm. And the trustees are a tremendous group of people who meet every other month. And if you guys are here, would you please stand up?
Conference trustee, yes, let's recognize that. Thank you.
I look to these two committees to help me in a lot of ways. So, and Jane, thank you very much.
As Sarah so eloquently said, I'm Jane Doister, the lucky person who is the chair of our conference board of trustees. The exciting news that I have is that 2024-25 is going to be a big insurance year. It's not the most exciting topic, but it's something that we're going to jump in with both feet and all work on together. It's complicated. We have standards established by the Wisconsin Conference. We have standards established by GCFA, which play a role in how much our insurance premiums are because of the type of coverage. We are looking at adjusting those standards to make it more practical for the large variety and size of our churches. We are seeking bids. We have 4 carriers that we are currently working with to develop parameters and see what type of services they will offer. Church Mutual will not, under any circumstances, service all of our churches. So from our perspective at this time, our goal is to work with a carrier who will provide insurance services to all of our conference churches. We are going to get proposals in this next month coming up. Our timeline is ASAP. However, there are lots of steps that we will be looking at to get the ASAP accomplished. And we will be communicating, so please check your emails, look for information from both Sarah and myself. And with your current church premiums, as policies come due, please only pay monthly. So when we have new parameters in place, it'll be much easier for that transition for you as quickly as possible. Not a fun topic, but we hope to make life easier for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.